Hey Chaotic Crew, it's Brian back with another deck tech, and this time we're delving into Bloomburrow, an immensely fun looking set already as spoiler season is getting underway. And I found a little guy here, well I guess a big guy, that caught my attention. I wanted to make a deck around him, calling it Tough Love because our commander is Hugs Grisly Guardian. Paying X, 2 red, 2 green for a legendary Badger Warrior, 5/5 Trampler. You may play an additional land on each of your turns, and when Hugs enters the battlefield, you exile the top X cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. So essentially, you could play Hugs as a 4-mana 5/5 Trampler that kind of like a better Mina and Den in a way. Right, so a bit of a classic card there, but you could pay extra mana to get a little bit of extra card draw, which I like a lot with him. And pretty much the game plan of this deck, right? You can go the land direction, you can go the exile direction. I think it's best to go with a Landfall here because he's giving you extra lands, and by having sort of semi-card draw in the command zone, or at least replacing himself, right, you're getting access to more land. So we have a bit of a land theme. We are exiling a lot of cards as well, and we are going to have some payoffs for that, but I think lands is definitely where Hugs is strongest. And now right here we got some big Hugs, just some removal spells, Blasphemous Act and Delayed Blast Fireball to help wipe the board. You can tell we've got a few modal cards as well in here from Modern Horizons 3, and that's definitely to help make it so that we can play those extra lands if we need to. If we're not going to be able to cast those cards, might as well play them as a land, right? So we've got lots of lands, lots of modal face cards, and it's going to be good. Only a few card draw options, and some of these are expensive, right? We don't need a ton of card draw. Our commander's replacing itself. We actually have a lot of impulse draw in the deck, which is sort of semi-card draw, so I didn't count it in this category, but we have a few just straight up draw cards. Garruk's Uprising is going to give our other creatures trample. Disciple of Freyalise sort of gets rid of our commander. We draw 5 cards, and then we can cast our commander later, right, with another X spell if we wanted to. Up the Beanstalk going to be big in this deck as well, so very fun there. And then, of course, our Exile package. This is sort of the meat and potatoes of this deck. I know I said it was a lands deck, but we're doing a lot of Exile too. Keeper of Secrets and Passionate Archaeologist are going to be ways we can end the game, close it out quicker. Flaming Tyrannosaurus does a bit of that as well. And then we just have stuff that goes along with that. Of course, the 2 Atalis, my favorite. Faladorn to help pay off with the Casting from Exile too, giving you tokens. And the way that sort of ties in with our lands theme, and here you see a bunch of our Rand spells, we'll get to that in a second, is that we are making lots of tokens with our lands. We've got Scoot Swarm, Titania, Omnath, Phylath, Avenger Zendikar, and Nesting Dragon, so that when those lands are in the battlefield, we're getting lots of tokens. Blackblade Reforged here as well, cares about lots of lands, and our commander has trample, so might as well include another win con in there. Geode Rager can help stave people away from us if you're in a combat heavy meta, which I am typically, so I like that. Back to the ramp package, you've got really good stuff like Wild Growth, Utopia Sprawl to help make our lands matter more. We've got Topiary Stomper as a good option. Some interesting tools here, Shadow in the Warp and Goblin and Archomancer. Of course, it's going to make our other stuff besides our commander cost less, but you might be thinking, why am I including these in here? They're not making my commander cost less, it's just a 4-mana 5/5. Well, they actually make it easier to put more mana into the X value. So that's what I'm excited about with these cards here. And then, of course, Goreclaw's also similar there. Somberwald Sage, really good, and so is Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. Both of those are going to do real work here in helping us get these big creatures out, right? So we've got some solid lands here. Arena of Glory to help us get haste, and otherwise a pretty typical deck. We do have a few fetch, I say fetch, they're the poor man's fetches, right? You've got Evolving Wilds, Vermintier's Overlook, you have the Cabaret Courtyard as well, and that's sort of, we do have a Ramanap Excavator, so if we are playing extra lands per turn, we're being able to play Evolving Wilds, crack it, play it again from the graveyard if we have one of those cards out. Some upgrades I would definitely add is another card that can maybe get stuff out of your graveyard. We do have Eternal Witness, which is sort of a nice value piece. Pinnacle Monk, another MDFC that just has value. We're most likely going to be playing this on the land side, but just in case we need to get a removal spell or a board wipe out, that's helpful. Rhythm of the Wild, also a staple Gruul card. And then Overwhelming Stampede, another way to help those tokens get through. Right, if we have our commander on board, we're going to give all our creatures +5/+5. So all those 0/1 tokens, all those 1/1 tokens are going to get massive quick. So another way to close out the game there. But let's go ahead and test the deck. It's pretty fun, doing a couple different things at once. And basically, that just means that you know, you need to make sure you're picking and choosing your battles carefully. Right here we have 2 lands. We have a Somberald Sage, so if we can get to that 3rd land, I like it. We also have Lelia, which can help out as well. So we also have both of our colors. So I think we can keep this and risk it. And there we go. We have a lot of lands in the deck, right? We have 38 non-modal and then I think 5 modals. So we have a total of like 43 lands. So I wasn't really worried we were going to draw a land. But that land tap, turn 2, Forest. We get the Passionate Archaeologist. We don't really have any 2-drops, so we might as well play the Passionate Archaeologist and start the burn count. Next turn, okay, we could play the Temple of Abandon. I think the best thing to do is to cast the Somberald Sage, right? That's going to make it so that we can cast our commander and get some impulse draw next turn. We don't want to play the Temple of Abandon because we don't have any 2-drops, so we'll play the Forest. We can also go Lelia as well, but hers, that exile, you can only play that turn. So we're pretty much losing whatever we exile with her. So I like the plan to go with Somberald Sage. Now, if your opponents have removal, they will probably use it on that. Maybe not. I actually, surprisingly, in a lot of my games, Somberald Sage tends to live, which is wild to me because it's such a good card. But if they get rid of it, no worries. We're not, you know, out of the game plan. We still have a lot we can do with this hand, right? So we could play Lelia next turn if we needed to. So I really like where we are. Next turn, let's just pretend that no one removed Somberald Sage, just saving their removal for bigger things. We will wait to play Temple of Abandon. I say we go ahead and play our commander for 6. We can tap Somberald Sage for 3, 4, 5, 6. And we can cast our commander and go ahead and exile 2 cards. We get Nature's Claim and Phylath. Both are great, but not lands. We could have also played Temple of Abandon to scry one first. I don't hate those cards. We'll go ahead and play it and scry this Jessica's Will back on top. We don't have an extra land to play, unfortunately, from our commander, but that's okay. We don't really need to play extra lands. We've got a lot of mana on board. If something does get removed, it's probably going to be this Passionate Archaeologist just because it is such a big threat, but I'm not too worried about it. Going into turn 5, now we've kind of got the game plan going. The plan here is definitely just Jessica's Will. We could play Lelia as well to sort of get some impulse draw going here. The thing with our commander's ability is that it only happens when he enters, so he's only really replacing himself. We have Phylath we could play, but we have no lands to play it with. So really the play is to go for the Jessica's Will. Right, we'll get a certain amount of red mana. Let's just assume we get 5, right? I think that's an average number. We're turn 5. People have used cards in their hand. That's how much we have left in our hand. Someone might have 5. It could be 4, it could be more, but I'm just going to assume 5, right? And we will exile 3 lands, which is great, in a Scoot Swarm, which is honestly really good because you can go ahead and tap the Somberald Sage for the Scoot Swarm and then play both the lands, which is very good. We have 5 red mana to work with as well, so we could also use the green our Somberald Sage creates to get Phylath out, which I like. So we have 5 mana. Let's keep that in mind. I'm going to move this over here so it's out of my mind. Tap this for 3 green. We'll use 1 green and 2 of the red for Scoot Swarm, which is great. And then we will go ahead. We still have 2 green and 2 red, so we need 2 more mana to cast Phylath. Let's go ahead and play the basic mountain, which will give us an insect copy. And now we have the 2 mana we need to cast the Phylath from exile. And because we have a base, we got an extra basic, we're getting an extra plant from Phylath. So we will add the plant Okay. And then we get to play the Reliquary Tower, and we get to put 5 counters on one of the plants. And we get an extra Scoot Swarm. So, pretty great turn there. We still have a whole hand. We can play Rishkar's Expertise next turn if the board isn't wiped. We can go into Tenkali Hunter, potentially do some shenanigans there. I think we probably want to go with Lelia into something, or Rishkar's Expertise if the board hasn't been wiped. But really great start for turn 5, right? We have done a lot. We have Decimate in case we need to remove some potential problems in the board. We also, I forgot to mention, dealt 9 damage that turn to someone's face. So really strong deck here, I think. So let's go ahead and play test again. Okay, you know I don't like to use Soul Ring hands, so we will... Okay, I don't hate this one. We have Phylath again and Arena of Glory, but we have some different cards in our hand. So let's go with this one and start it out. We have an Arbor Elf, which is a great draw. I think we go ahead and play Stomping Ground, pay 2 life, and cast Arbor Elf. And then turn 2, we get a mountain. We could play a forest or the Arena of Glory here. I think we just play a land. Tap 3 for Cultivate. So now we are cooking with gas. Just go ahead and forest and a mountain. Oop. Mountain stayed on the deck. Shuffle, and we'll just put the mountain on the battlefield, sure. Next turn, we drew another land. Wow. We can go ahead and play Arena of Glory. It depends. We have Phylath in hand, so we probably want the most basics on the battlefield as possible. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll play Forest, and we can tap 5. And we will cast our commander with X is 1. So it replaces itself, essentially. We get a Savvy Trainer, which is actually a nice card to get down the line. We may just want to leave that there, though. But we'll go ahead and play an extra land, another basic, so Phylath can start popping off next turn. And then next turn, we have a Blasphemous Act, which is actually really nice. I think, you know, there's probably enough. We're in turn 4 already, right? And our commander can attack. So I think we start off by probably swinging with our commander, trying to hit some women for damage. Main phase 2, we're going to tap this for a red, and then untap it. And we are going to, if we Blast Act though, we don't get to play an additional land on our turn. Not ideal. I think it might be worth it though, just to, like, we can go out and play these 2, and then board wipe, and then play Phylath just to get all the plants on the board and be in a commanding position. Hope no one else has a board wipe. We could totally do that, and then we have enough mana to cast our commander again next turn. I think that's probably the play. So we use the red for Blasphemous Act, destroy all the creatures, sure. Commander goes to command zone. We could also cast Savvy Trader, but we don't have not a ton of exile left except our commander, so I don't think it's worth it. And we didn't have anything to exile with it when it entered the battlefield. Sorry, my bad. We would have played these first before we Blast Acted. And then tap 6 for Phylath. We're going to get 6 plants. Pass the turn. We get another land. We'll play this one. Get 4 counters on a plant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could do X is 0 and keep up. We will be able to play this extra land for a Beast Within. I'm feeling greedy, so let's go ahead and just pay 1 into it. We do get an Explore, and we can play the Forest, and then we could sure, let's cast the Explore. Might as well, and we can play this Carplusian Forest. So now 3 of our plants have 4 woman counters on them, and our hand is kind of out of gas at this point. So Hugs did replace itself, right? And it's definitely good, but now we're sort of in a place where we're kind of top decking. Now, Arena of Glory can be helpful to give anything with haste as it enters the battlefield. We have some removal in our hand next turn. We do get fight rigging, so even if for some reason there is removal or Phylath, they killed our commander and Phylath, so we still have maybe some plants. We can still do some fight rigging shenanigans, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty fun deck. There's a lot you can do with it. It's Gruul Stompy. at its core. Yeah, and I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what are these Bloomburrow commanders that are being spoiled you want me to make a deck out of. I want to make a bunch of upgrades for the precons coming up, so make sure to keep an eye on the channel. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on those. And I hope you had fun today. I just like brewing decks. Even if I don't make them on paper, I just love sort of solving that puzzle, and I hope you do too. Let me know what you think about the deck. Let me know what you're going to put in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Take care, Chaotic Crew. Bye.